across the country, we should address the issue relating to the entire country. There's not
Honorable wrote the communication about Sacre-Pied, and we agree.
So the Sacre-Pied to discuss here?
No, we agree that we will include circumstances similar.
Let's look at the entire sector.
Circumstances similar. So proceed.
Honorable Speaker, I agree with
President,
you.
good afternoon. Thanks for joining us. My name is Prince. Focus on that
from the national
and
we also narrow down the honorable position. There is an ongoing national retirement and pension scheme, specifically for fiscal year 2024. Prior to the initiation of this pension scheme, Honorable Speaker, we have so many of our hardworking citizens who were retired about 4 or 5 years ago, but none of them ever received handshake. They did not also enroll them into the pension payroll, so they are not benefiting from the retirement exercise that happened before 2024. We have so many of them. So those people, including the almost 2,000 people who have qualified across all government functionaries to be retired, are being considered for enrollment into the pension payroll as of November. Honorable Speaker, as I speak to you, the Civil Service Agency is working directly with the National Social Security and Welfare Corporation on this National Retirement and Pension Scheme. To date, no potential retiree has been removed from the payroll. Our plan took into consideration 3 months of those concerned to stay home and receive their regular salaries in the form of handshake. Because, Honorable Speaker, as you, the Honorable Deputy Speaker, and members of the Honorable House are aware, the government faces serious resource constraints to provide handshakes to all of these 2,000 plus people, including all those who were retired as far back as 2020 till now. We do not have the money to provide the handshake. And so what NASCA and CSA decided was that don't let the people work for the 3 months, because handshake is supposed to be free. It's not supposed to be something they should go to work for. Allow them to receive their salaries for the 3 months and process them appropriately so that seamlessly, as we arrive at November 1st for that matter, their C1 forms will be filled out by all the government agencies, commissions, so that they are enrolled directly into the national pension payroll. What does that mean? By 25th November, they will all be enrolled, including those retired from 2020 who have not been receiving pension benefits. They will all be enrolled into the pension payroll up to the 15th of November. On the 25th of November, they will all begin to receive their pension salaries. This agreement is between CSA and NASCA. When we made the agreement, yes.
Okay, so the healthcare worker is being retired, and at that point, they are not supposed to work because you will use the 3 months to pay them the handshake.
Correct.
Who's doing their work? Who's at the clinic?
So it's across the government. We communicated effectively in July early with all the government agencies. We have a copy of that circular memorandum telling them to inform those concerned about the plans for the retirement.
The question is,
hold
on, you have time to answer. The question is, you had an agreement with the 2 agencies that you will let the person not work, but accrue the pay. Who is working in the place of that potential retiree who's waiting to get benefits? Who's in that position?
Honorable Speaker, we not have people to fill all those positions, but we have been working with the entities to move employees around, resources around. When I say resources, resource individuals around in the entities to fill in, to hold as a placeholder until they can be appropriately replaced the moment we move all of them into the national pension scheme. Because we don't have resources. It's in the middle of the fiscal year. You cannot employ people immediately because they are still receiving the salaries. But in the case of honorability, I think the Ministry of Health is willing to work with them in that specific case and a few more around. Some of the entities, the CSA has been working with them in terms of what to do. That's why you have not heard any uproar or any nurses around, because we've been working with them to coordinate with them to move employees around until they are moved into the pension payroll. Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Ability.
The point of my communication borders on two things: the health situation in my district and across the country, and adherence to the labor law. What is the procedure to retire people? Was that law followed, or is the CSA now representing all the other agencies? Because to have health worker replaced, the Ministry of Health is supposed to inform you that we have the replacement, we are ready to go, so that you can go ahead to do it. The Ministry of Labor is supposed to give you go ahead to say, you go ahead, you have conformed to all of the legal requirements to retire these people. The point is, that is not being addressed by the witness, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Ability. Those are important concerns, and I'm glad you raised them. The Honorable Minister of Labor is here.
Yeah,
he's fully aware.
The Minister of Labor is a lawyer.
Yes, he's fully aware that when it comes to retirement and pension, it falls squarely by law and by instruments promulgated by NASCOP, by the Honorable House of Representatives, the Legislature. The Minister of Labor does not play such role in the retirement and pension process. It's CSA and NASCOP. And I can provide you those legal instruments, honorability. No. And I also have the plan, the comprehensive retirement plan you requested for. We will provide that to you.
We will take, the Minister of Labor is a lawyer. So
yes.
we will take the Minister of Labor. So Director General, let's give the Minister of Labor. What?
Inquiry.
Please, do not say inquiry.
You want to ask the Director General?
Yes, sir.
Okay, go ahead.
Mr. Speaker, information.
Hold on. Let me ask a question and you give it.
Mr. Speaker, fellow police, the witness. So my question is,
No.
the action you took or you are taking is because the government is insulting, right? Because otherwise then you are not concomitant as you move A from there to put a man there. Because the person that you're taking from place, they continue with them, they have an assignment, they being paid for a piece of job. Let's say for instance in the classroom. You are teaching in the classroom, teaching, you move from there. They are not teaching about replacement. Make that team have to about teaching. So are you going to no money or you don't want to govern it?
Inquiry.
But he has to answer the question.
Mr. Honorable Speaker, I actually wanted to read the retirement and pension plan, and it would take care of almost all the concerns here, because the legal aspect, because the process, the ongoing pre-retirement counseling for everybody to be retired, everything is contained in the plan.
Information on the code.
Mr. Speaker, Deputy Speaker, distinguished colleagues, my information borders on the communication written by Honorable Ability. You were specific that the action of CSA led to the death of our citizens. And you are asking the CSA's boss up to current, what have you done to mitigate the situation, to prevent more death. We have not had the answer to that. The second information, part of that information is the CSA boss is before us, informing us that this body legislated laws that he's acting on. And I want to provide to the colleagues, as far as I know, and research has established, nothing in this country that has to do with Article 89 that says Civil Service Commission shall be established per the Constitution. We have not done that. So I want to remind the Civil Service boss that he's on oath. Whatever testimony he provides here, he will be held accountable. Thank you.
We'll take the Deputy Minister of Health on this issue of retiring health workers. Again, I'm still concerned about the viability of the institution, the clinic, or the hospital when you retire people and you have nobody to replace them. What is the plan and how is it? Because I would rather have, what is the retirement age, 65?
65.
Okay, 60. I would rather have a 65-year-old person still on the job doing the work while not there to have anybody there. So the Ministry of Health, can you?
Honorable Speaker, if I may.
No, you may not.
Okay.
I called on the Deputy Minister of Health.
Honorable Speaker and Deputy Speaker, distinguished members of the House of Representatives, let me begin by saying thank you to all of you for the consideration given me to appear on behalf of my minister. And let me register also that our action is not deliberate, but this communication that was dated on the 6th of September only reached her office yesterday when she was preparing to go home because of illness. She could not have left it off without somebody representing her. So she deemed it necessary that I make the representation, and I thank you for allowing me to make such representation. Honorable Speaker, Honorable Deputy Speaker, distinguished members of the House of Representatives, your concerns are similar to the concerns that we have. However, the issue of pensioning civil servants is squarely in the prerogative of the civil service agency. And they have communicated with us and we have collaborated. But the issue here is, how do we fill in the gap? And our approach to it in the interim, while it's true they have given us a remedy that after the 3 months, there will be new replacement for those who are still.
Honorable Speaker, you think that that man won't know how to distill, right?
What happened?
We just said that you distill it.
What happened?
Don't start the
Okay, proceed.
Honorable Speaker, Honorable Deputy Speaker, distinguished members of the House of Representatives, what the ministry is doing at the moment is doing human resource reallocation, wherein there are staff that we think we can move from one facility or from one locality to another without causing another problem from where we are taking our staff. We will take the staff from there and reallocate the staff. But is this measure a sustainable one? No, we are challenged.
Inquiry or the proponent or
Deputy Speaker, I want the minister to give us his reliance, what law that he's relying on to say the act of retiring civil servant is solely the prerogative of the CSA. What? I mean, he could be charged for application. For application. When you refuse to do your job, and just look at somebody and say, I have a job, even though there are people working for you. And the next to say, let them go, then you say, I don't understand. What is it relying? What law on the book that says it is the sole prerogative of CSA? I thought we have the national pension law.
I would call the Minister of Labor.
Because there's no law.
No, hold on to see if you can share some light on that. Mr. Minister.
So let's look at what the national pension law says.
We all want to know what the law is. So let's listen to the Minister. Your question will come back. Mr. Minister, welcome.
Mr. Speaker, members of the Honorable House of Representatives, again, let me thank you for always inviting us to share with you some of your concerns and as it relates to our own area. But there are two things we'd like for the honorable man to know today. That as we speak today, the understanding of the sector, both the civil service agency and the Ministry of Labor, is that health workers are under the civil service agency. They are not amenable to the Decent Work Act. That is it. But that also goes to teachers.
No. You said it's an understanding. Is that a law or is that an agreement? You said agreement in the sector. Is that the law?
We will have a major press conference tomorrow to address whether or not that assumption that we've been working on is correct. We've been doing some research on it and we'll be speaking to that tomorrow because we have public sector workers are amenable to the civil service standing order. And private sector workers are amenable to the Decent Work Act. But we have not been distinguishing, for example, health workers that work in private health facilities should be distinguished from health workers that work in government facilities.
But we're not even talking about private facilities here. We're talking about healthcare workers working at government facilities.
Government facilities, health workers are covered by the Civil Service Standing Orders, not by the Decent Work Act.
And which law says that?
There is a Civil Service Standing Order. All public sector workers.
No, but as you know, Honorable Minister, regulation cannot supersede a law. The regulation is crafted to speak to aspects of the law. So we want to know if it's by law or just by civil service standing order that these workers were pulled out of the Decent Work Act and placed in some standing order that was not promulgated by the legislature.
Well, the issue whether or not the Civil Service Standing Order is a law or not, this is something that is still, I think, is subject to some interpretation.
It's not subject
to accepted.
No, not subject to interpretation because the Civil Service Standing Order is a regulation passed by the Civil Service. It was never passed yet. Honorable Koluba, if I pull you all this time, you're not coming back. I'm just letting you know. You didn't bring here for you to disrespect it. Honorable Minister,
there is a Civil Service Act, and that act provides for the standing order. Unless that act is repealed, we have to respect the fact that all public sector workers are amenable to the Civil Service Standing Order.
We will accept that, but then you go to Honorable Military's point, right? Because in 1989, Constitution established a Civil Service Commission. So that Civil Service Act is a little bit suspect. We are waiting for the We are waiting for the Minister of Justice to give us a legal interpretation.
Okay.
So because of the civil standing order, they are subject to civil service.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
So their retirement would not fall under the Ministry of Labor.
Okay. The Director General, it still goes back to my point. Thank you, Mr. Minister. It still goes to my point. I will give one or two of you to answer this question. Because of the critical nature of the health facility. Can I finish? Observation, Honorable Thomas.
I'm coming in on a point of observation because the Minister of Labor is providing some information, and he is actually appearing before the House of Representatives, and we have members that are seated that need to follow through with what he is saying and also providing some information and inquiries. But it actually appears as if it's a direct interaction with you and him, and we have a lot of issues on the floor that we need to raise with him. So can you please give us the opportunity, Mr. Speaker?
You will get the opportunity after I conduct my board here. It goes to my point, Director General, the sensitive nature of the healthcare. General Clinic, you get to General only by river. So if you move the only healthcare worker from there, I guarantee you, in 3 months, in 6 months, in 1 year, nobody's doing it. How do we make sure that these people, these facilities are populated when you retire people?
So, Honorable Speaker, as I indicated from the outset, that the process is ongoing. We have not retired their salaries. Notwithstanding, we have not retired, we have not removed them. They are not removed from the payroll.
No, Honorable.
So,
you listening?
No, they are not removed from the payroll. So, the spaces are created in Florida.
Yeah, but you already testified, so nobody has been retired. Honorable Karen.
I was telling Adam Jacko.
Honorable Karen, Honorable Thomas,
we want to make our point. So everybody should understand.
The issue
okay.
Now has to do with, according to the Director General, he said the handshake is for 3 months.
Right.
Meaning that you will not go to work. Right. The issue on the ground is, according to Honorable, people have lost their life. Thank you. What we want to know if you retire the 12 people, nobody they're not going to work, so it means there's a vacancy. So now, which has caused the death of our citizens. The question is, you said that before you try to retire people in the health sector and in the educational sector, you have a direct replacement. But that has not been done, which has caused life and shame. So I think that's the question our brother, the Director General, need to address. To retire then, to set up with a handshake is one thing, to replace it is another thing, so that there will not be any fault within the health sector. So I think you need to address that.
I agree, Honorable. And to answer your question directly, I will take you from the minister, where he said they are doing movement of personnel. And I think given that the issue has been raised by Honorable Bailey and its gravity, they are considering that as a high priority to deal with in that case. But here is it, Honorable. I want to make reference to the national situation because
no, on the Director General. On the Director General. The Deputy Minister of Health, can you approach? Mr. Deputy Minister, do you have a plan to replace those persons who are scheduled to be retired before they are retired? Do you have a plan?
Honorable Speaker, Honorable Deputy Speaker, distinguished members of this House, I can say to you that the Ministry of Health is also challenged by the situation. However, what we are doing in the interim is to look where we have health workers, that it is possible we can take a health worker from this local or from this facility without causing problem in that facility and reallocate that person there. However, Honorable Speaker, your concern and the concern of the honorable lawmakers is genuine. We are saying, and we have been communicating, and we have been working with the CSA. Is there a possibility for us to be exempted given the critical nature of the health sector? Okay, so I think we can continue to collaborate with CSA and see whether that is possible so that we can have that exemption that will not be treated similarly as other entities. Honorable Fani. You can hear that. Honorable Fani. Honorable Yeka, you say yeah?
Yes.
Honorable Fani.
I think the chair is not willing to proceed on this. And since the Minister of Labor has testified that according to CSO standing order is fully within the purview of the civil service, I think we need to set up a specialized committee to work with the civil service to ensure. I'm coming to you. You want to answer me one question? I'm coming to you.
Honorable Speaker, Honorable Presiding distinguished colleagues, let me once again thank Honorability for raising this issue. And let me also appreciate the information I've provided thus far. I have an inquiry to the CSA and the affected ministry. In fact, this issue also affects the education sector as well, where Nima University people have been complaining that a lot of staff have been fired. Well, Robert DG, the exercise is conducted to identify those who are qualified to be retired. Is laudable. However, did you consider budgetary constraint? And against that background, did you make a plan, for example, where these will be identified and that information shared with the spending entity so that the subsequent budget year, their retirement benefits, everything will be included before the issue of handshake can be effected? Because what I see is yes, you carry on your exercise, but it has created a gap that most of the spending entities are not prepared to fill now. Because according to you, budgetary constraint. But knowing the budgetary constraint, what measure did you take so that that gap is then created? Given the fact that most of the entities will not have money to deploy now, because it's not covered by the budget. And then against that background, you have liaised with them and say, okay, look, these are the people who probably, even though they qualify, but let's start by 2025. But you went ahead and gave them the information, thereby creating the gap. So tell me exactly what effort you made in that direction, and today you are not being affected and having this problem.
Take note.
No. Let him answer the question.
So thank you, Honorable. That's a very good question. Honorable, we have something coming up called manpower planning. It's done periodically ahead of the preceding fiscal year. It is where we make a determination of what the workforce will look like for the preceding year. Forecasting will take into consideration cost, and that answers your question directly. We will make a determination of what is required. No, because we just took over in the middle of the fiscal year. And so we inherited what we are trying to fix. So as I told you, the retirement is not just for the regular 2,000 for this fiscal year, it's for those who were retired from 2020 coming forth, inclusive of those we are retiring now. So the consideration is being made for the next manpower planning so that we make a determination which will be presented to you in the form of the budget as well with explanations. What will cover pension and retirement, that will not have to move personnel and create voids that will create problem. But I would say, Honorable, that the issue raised by Honorable Billy will definitely be resolved the way it is being in the context of the health and education, as the speaker said. Many of those people are still on the job, even though they were supposed to be removed. That's why you're not hearing noise. Many of them are on the job.
Okay, Honorable Michael Thomas. Yes. No, you can't finish the statement. Honorable Michael Thomas. I will open that side. I'm coming to you now, going to
the essence of bringing this very peculiar matter before plenary is to seek some level of relief or remedy for our people who are being affected by this situation. And undisputed that the Ministry of Labor, the minister sitting, has the capacity as an administrative institution of government with oversight over labor matters. That the minister will appear here and tell us to a larger extent that we have issues that are labor related, and he tells us that the Ministry of Labor has no oversight, the civil service standing order, not even the act creating the civil service, discussing the standing order, that the standing order precludes that CSA has oversight. Whereas regarding labor-related issues, those people could strike tomorrow, we could have people in the street, it could be chaotic, and labor minister will come in to say they won't find a remedy and it will be late. The second part, we have the Ministry of Health that is being affected. Because the fact that you are the custodians of the health sector of our country, you have your employees that are being affected. Assuming someone makes $100 for instance, you say we will pay you for 3 months to retire you $300 after working for almost 35 years or accumulate the age of 65. Then you say we get you $300 for instance, and that would be a scenario because people making $90, people making $100, $150. You can't pay somebody as a retirement package in that amount. That is very terrible. As a country, it's
Honorable Romeo Puya. No, they have a question for the minister, the deputy minister of health. I need to wrap this up, so we need a bit more soon. My question is, will you send it to special action?
So, you got possibility, it is possible for all those
identified met the requirement of retirement. Okay, retirement, not variables. Our retirement by tenure, retirement by disability, illness. So now, I want to retire myself. And so I don't want to convince me how when you remove somebody and say, we're going to have to my shift. 2 shifts. So now 2 shifts. From 7 to 12, and it's 3 shifts. So who are you going to take away?
This is Focus on Liberia TV. We are coming to you live direct from the chambers of the House of Representatives in Liberia, Monrovia, up Capitol Hill. And today is the 4th day sitting of the actual ordinary session of this, what it is legislation.
Is that a question?
So you want to see the question? To act on several legislation, including
Maybe he asked the teacher to the teacher? Okay.
so thanks for joining me.
So I agree with you that what you are pointing to the difficulty if being able for us to supply those gaps on the force are being created. We agree with you as a challenge. But what we do is actually a coping strategy. So we're looking at facilities like that, say 10 health workers. If we can remove one person from there and still have it running with no much track to the patients that are going to that facility, we can take that one person in the meantime and send them to another place to solve some of the problems.
Mr. Minister, are you saying that hypothetically, or you saying you got such a plan?
So it's not actually a plan. We are addressing the situation as they unfold.
Honorable Debbie. I will see, please. Honorable Debbie. Honorable Debbie, proceed.
Honorable Speaker, this is a national concern. This is a national concern. I don't know how people are appointed to government positions. When we come to these kinds of services, as civil servant or appointed, member or elected person must have the information. The Minister of Labor and the Deputy Minister of Health, they have no idea on what their positions are. And here we have the budget to declare a vote of no confidence. Excuse me. I'm not a lawyer. I'm speaking of
Honorable Koloba for the rest of the session is not allowed to come in. He is not allowed to come in. Who is friendly here? Who is friendly here? You will leave for the rest of the session and not come back for physically assaulting your colleague.
No, let the speaker. No, let the speaker.
Yeah, but he can't come back.
No problem. Let me send this as a caveat to the people that want to cause the death of the Let me send this as a caveat. Let me say this to you. Anybody cause the death
the Sergeant of the House will escort Honorable Koloba outside and do not allow him to come back in the rest of the session.
I'll be here Thursday.
Honorable Speaker.
Go ahead, Honorable Debbie.
This is, as I was saying, this is a serious issue. Yes. The Minister of Health I know they have the data that this country is challenged with professionals. According to statistics, there are 20,000. There are 15 to 20,000 patients to a doctor in this country. If the minister knows that this is the statistics that we have, 15,000 to 20,000 persons to one doctor in this country. With this information, he coming to a public service will be able to advise whosoever are making decisions to retire people without having replacement. Another thing that the Minister of Labor should have understanding and be able to protect the dignity of workers. As a minister, he comes at all, comes to us as the people debited and tell us that he has no idea what the law says. If this a serious minister, if this is how we intend to run this country, what level of change are we bringing to this country? You have to be quiet. You have to not be down. I'm not speaking to you. This is not like we're putting another number. Our country is concerned. The minister has got information.
No. Go ahead, proceed.
The honorable asked a simple question as a legal person. And he could not, before us, defend that. He could not provide a reliance. We are the people's deputies. When people start to get up, when people start to strike, there will be no way to hold them. The Minister of Labor has reason to do that. He has no understanding on how that works. And he before us.
He did testify that his legal opinion was that public service health workers are governed under the CSO and not under the Decent Work Act. That's his testimony.
There was a specific question. I asked a specific question to not provide that as a lawyer. The next thing is that the CSA is using relying as handshake. Handshake is not legal. It's not legal. When on our law, when somebody is pension, that person will have his pension or package. It's not a handshake. It's not legal. You can base your decision on assumption. When you come to this public service, you must come with reliance, you must come with facts. Shaking people's hand, it means nothing. That's just my colleague just said, you work for $100 for 30 years. In 3 months, one person comes up to them and says, you go home and sit down. I give $100. What dignity is that? How do we expect our people to? So how people will feel good to come and work in the public service? The next thing is that we move people, send them home to sit down, and bring another person to do the same job. How are we talking about paying one person, paying one job 2 times? Are they thinking about the financial implication as well? So those are my points. I want us to be real and be serious on how we proceed with this when you have the government position. Try your best to be a patriotic citizen. Thank you.
Honorable Barry. I'll come to you.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, Deputy Speaker, distinguished colleagues, I have 3 questions to ask. The first one is, are you redundant people or are you pensioning them? The second has to do with, are you putting these people down based upon budgetary allotment or is it because of the required age that they have reached? And thirdly, I want to know from you, especially when it comes to the health sector, what is the essence of you removing someone from their position and you are not replacing them with another person? If you put those people down, how is it going to benefit those people, the patients that will be going to the hospital? Because now we understand that people are even dying because you have removed them from their various positions. Taking into consideration that even though you remove those people from the position, you still going to pay them while they are sitting. Are you not going to be paying people for doing work that is not working? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Honorable
Thank you for the last question. So let me just respond by saying that this is the pension scheme. It's not a redundant scheme, and the pension scheme is clear. I will respond to reflect the question he also asked as to whether or not people receive benefit, and handshake is just a gentleman agreement. No. Handshake is in the retirement law. So we got 3 instruments. So we got the NASCA law, we got the CSA, and we have the civil service standing orders that says everything about retirement of people who work within the public service. So we are guided by those instruments. And in keeping with those instruments, there are specific lines that reflect the word handshake in it. So we are under obligation to address the issue of handshake. And as a government and a functionary responsible to provide the strategy and the approach, that was the approach that we instituted in the retirement plan because of the given circumstances. But again, it's up to you, the honorables, because the bill was enacted by you, the pension scheme. When I say you, not you sitting today, the 55th, by your colleagues who came before you. It's in the law. So it's not redundancy, honorable, it's pension, and how do they receive their benefits? That's why we said immediately November, they will all begin to receive their benefits. There were contributions that they made, which accumulated to what we are all referring to now as their benefits. It's those contributions that they made that will be paid back to them. And they will begin to receive those same contributions they made in the form of benefits monthly. But the handshake is something outside of their benefits totally. It's like saying thank you. It's in the law. And we can provide those instruments to you. It's that handshake we say, okay, if we want to take all the people, and everybody here will be concerned, because people were retired since 2020. They have not received a single benefit. And I will tell you why they have not received. Because they were making their remittances, but those remittances, their contributions, but those contributions were not being remitted to NASCA. So to pay them have been difficult. So those remittances are the ones now we are putting together to make sure that all of them can begin to take it as of November.
I will listen to Honorable Cooper, and then we have to take the way forward at some point. I will listen to Honorable Cooper, and then I will close with Honorable Cole. Okay, please, what's the inquiry, Honorable Don? Let me take inquiry from Honorable Don. Honorable Williams, you just woke up. Honorable Gay, you just woke up. Oh.
Let's give out the distinguished colleagues. No, I got it. No. Okay. I just hear the Honorable TG.
You ask a question or you get an inquiry? Inquiry is directed to me.
That's an inquiry, but it has to do with it. You did say no one has been removed from the payroll amidst all the accusations about removal of Liberians from the payroll, and then he mentioned that no one has been removed. I wanted to know whether it was a mistake or you could clarify that particular statement.
Inquiry denied. Honorable Cooper. Inquiry denied. Honorable Cooper.
Why is that denied?
Because his testimony was stand by itself.
No.
No. We'll come back. It will be in your question.
Honorable Speaker, I want to wait forward.
No, don't wait forward. Now I will bring you over to you. Honorable Cole. I'm coming to you. I'm coming to Honorable. Because Honorable Yana. No, your hair has not been up. I will handle the bigger you. Honorable Cole.
Mr. Speaker, Deputy Police. My inquiry to the Director General as it relates to his conversation or his testimony before us. The Director General is saying to I told the people from the hospital to go and sit down, but they will be paid. The Director General comes back, he tells us that those contributions of the civil service and the civil servants that they have been making, those remittances were now made to NASCO. As at November, those people will start to receive their benefits. But he has now told us how of the way the people are going to receive those benefits. He's saying to you, in 2020, people were retired, they have not been receiving their benefits. But as of November, Honorable Barry asks a very select question. Whether this can has to do with budgetary constraint or it is about what? The Civil Service Director said November 1st, people will begin to receive their benefits. My inquiry is, have you done a due diligence across the 103 spending entities where those retirees are going to be scouted out from to know the total number of retirees? And if yes, how many people are going to be retiring? Do we have the statistics and the proof that those people who are going to be retired, their contributions have been remitted to NASCO? That as of November, you are going to start to pay those people? I want to know whether the director can give us that statistic that look, as of November, we'll have 5,000. In one of the press releases, he said 6,000 plus will be retired or consider those people as those. I just want the director to tell us, institution by institution, how many people you are retiring from each of those institutions, what are the names of those people, what are their
You want me to say all that right now?
But that one he's here.
You say you should call 6,300 names?
No.
When are we going to go home?
You need to tell us the statistics. We have 103 spending entities. Mr. Speaker, the background of my question is this. This country will be managed by the 103 individuals that were elected by the 6 million Liberians. And I happen to be one of those. That the Liberian people stood in the lines to vote me to come here and represent their interests. To have a single person to tell her that you can go to any of the institution, retire people without the head of institution, patient people without the head of institution. You go in the news and then run the government in the news and say that 6,000 human beings will be taken off the payroll. When we or us as legislators or deputies of the people don't have that statistics in our hands. The only entity of government or branch of government that has a responsibility on the check and balance, since that between us is the House of Representatives or the legislature, the first branch of government, to terminate members of the executive. Because if you is not taking, I can say to you, November, we'll have the situation. Let me come home as a close. Here, we do not have proof. As head of rules, order, and administration, people should have been retired from this place. If we check for finance, ministry, NASCO, we have conversation. Their contributions were never remitted to NASCO. But the director is telling us those people will be paid as of November 1st. So how are you going to manage if you're going to retire 100 persons from here that they need to get their benefit in November? If they do not receive their benefit in November, they will not go to the CSA bus. They are coming to you because you are the head of the institution. So I just wanted to piggyback on that to make it clear that the director is giving on a vague information that I'm head of one of the institutions, that we have had conversation with the Ministry of Finance, we have had conversation with NASCO. There are no remittances on behalf of the House of Representatives, retirees that have been remitted to them. So where is he going to get the money from? That is just my concern. I am very concerned about that.
Honorable Maker,
can I respond, Honorable Speaker?
No, let listen to Honorable K.
Honorable Speaker, Deputy Speaker, Distinguished Police. Let me remind you that in 2020, during the administration of President George, there was serious action taken the government of Liberia constituted, committee comprising of public sector worker consortium, along with the government of Liberia represented by Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Education, Ministry of Government, CSA. They came up for MOU between the consortium of the Public Sector Workers Association and the government of Liberia. In that policy document, it may not be a law that has been legislated, but it's a policy document that the CSA cannot tell me they don't have copy of it. And in that policy document, it indicates granting special dispensation to Ministry of Health and Education workers that even if their age, is scheduled with the retirement age, they should be able to be granted a special dispensation to continue their service. So I don't know. There is a policy that was drafted between the government of Liberia and the consortium of Public Workers Association. And this policy, I know that is in your archive. You are disregarding it. You are going ahead, retire people in the education sector and the health sector, and leaving some of the institutions very empty. So I really want you to address this, issue. With respect to the dispensation granted to these people.
Honorable, I will start to respond by responding to your question directly, your concern, and I agree with you 100%. I will not speak to the policy in terms of acknowledging it, but I will tell you we are doing exactly that. Specialized doctors, there are health workers with specialized trainings, some of whom have qualified for retirement in keeping with the retirement policy, but those are people who will be getting special dispensation. As I said, the retirement process is ongoing. As I speak to you here, if you just go, Honorable Speaker, to MPTC and SKD, all the potential candidates are now having conversations with CSA and NASCO teams in the field across the entire country. These people are going on a daily basis. We have covered up to 1,200 potential retirees who have voluntarily gone to the centers to sit with them and talk about their strength and talk about their experiences and talk about the importance of keeping some of them until we can have them train people maybe over the next 1 year or 2 years to fill the void when they leave. That is ongoing. We took that into consideration. And it's not only in the health sector, it's also in the education sector. We are mindful of that, Honorable. So your point that you made is being highly considered in this retirement process. But I wanted to come to Honorable Cole's concern. First, I'd like to respectfully disagree that on no occasion have I given a figure of 6,000 people to be retired. No. In all our retirement documentations, including the plan, the target has been 2,000. And it's not from the sky. The 2,000 comes from the listings we receive from all the entities. We wrote twice, and he can attest. We requested the listings of all potential retirees from the heads of entities directly. I found those communications. They responded. They sent to CSA all of the listings. On the basis of the listings, we drew up a plan in consultation with these people, the heads of entities, to have the pre-retirement counseling and first allow them to go through the pre-retirement counseling, which talks about what happens before retirement, what happens during retirement, and what happens after retirement, what the calculations are, how much each of them will receive. Everything is being discussed with each of them. After that, the report will also be disaggregated based on categories. It's going to tell us those who still have strength in a good health condition, for example, in the education sector, in the healthcare sector, that's supposed to be routine. So that's why, Honorable Speaker, I said we have not removed people because we have not even reached to that point. Where we are currently is to work with those who have been identified by each entity. It is not CSA that made the determination as to who's going to be retired.
So I want to get clarity on Honorable John's point.
Yeah.
So the issue where you told no.
I want to respond to the situation.
This is not a debate between you.
No, I'm saying
the situation, the issue where you gave people 3 months where the staying room is not happening now.
No, I'm not saying people. I'm saying Honorable Speaker that we have removed people from their job and not giving them salary.
Okay, no, so I'm asking the procedure or the scheme where you're saying stay home for 3 months and that will be considered your handshake.
Yeah.
It's not happening now.
It is happening, but they are receiving their salaries. We have not removed their names from the payroll. No.
Okay. It's just that they can't come to work.
Right. As much as I said that, I will tell you.
So and that's happening and
members of the
honorable, and that's happening in the healthcare field too.
It's happening in the healthcare field. But honorable,
that's what happened to honorability. 12 persons, right?
Right.
They were told to stay home and collect your salary as their handshake. And therefore, if you had a
I will tell you as a human being in Liberia. I will tell you, honorable speaker, as a human being in Liberia, I empathize with honorability and empathize with those Liberians involved. But I will tell you this. The Honorable Health Minister will tell you that this issue has not even been fully applied in the health sector because many of the people concerned have attended the pre-retirement counseling, but they have not gone home. I personally interacted with most of them, stay on the job and say, oh, we will be there until we can transition. That's why you have now heard several voices.
So, okay, Honorable Koka.
The 6,000 workers, the Director
You are
General statement on the press briefing. Okay,
Mr. Presiding, let it read
Mr. Presiding, police.
Let it repeat the system.
To the witness. Mr. Presiding, it can be recalled some months back. There were issues of dismissal, not dismissed, SACA. That this other body, one of our colleagues, wrote a communication to invite the Director of Civil Service. He came here and projected to us. And during the projection, he admitted to us that at no point in time that anybody is dismissed, but the processes that lead to one being a bona fide civil service employee, some areas, some ministry have not met with the requirement. So therefore, he went to go through the process to ensure that they are internalized. Mr. Director, are you also cognizant of the fact that every ministry, land ministry and agency, are mandated by law to report to the legislature on a quarterly basis?
Here is my proof.
Yes, sir.
The man made a statement. He said, I'm printing it, and he will respond to him. Y'all want to play?
It was that.
No.
Okay, for you all.
I'm not pressing on. I just telling you, he's going to print it. He will print it, and the statement the man made.
That one, it was not on the old. It went on the old. That one going back.
What are the Yes.
So, you are admitted that it is by requirement that quarterly you submit a report to this other body. And you are assumed the responsibility as civil service director. Since your inception, have you ever given a first-hand quarterly report to this legislature?
Honorable, I'm not sure that's in the context of the
Excuse me, sir. My question is, say indeed he alluded to the fact that every land ministry approves with the authority to report to the legislature quarterly. I'm asking whether since the inception he has ever submitted a report to this other body. That's the question I posted. And he hasn't answered yet.
If he's made a quarterly report?
Yeah. Performance report quarterly.
No, the answer is no. We will call the.
Speaker, are you a CSA director now?
You said no.
Honorable, I haven't submitted such report.
Okay, if he has not submitted report by the PFM law, it requires that any ministry or agency who fails, salary should be withheld. It's there. It's there in the law. If you challenge them, we can add a children to bring up PFM law. If
somebody don't park up and they will withhold their salary.
Failure, yes, failure. That entered to the head. Salary should be withheld. It's there. But basically, we are not so concerned about the salary issue. The issue I am concerned about is we as legislators are accountable to our constituents. Yes. Right. And by the reportage, it enables us to let the citizenry know what is unfolding in the country. The noise that is coming now is because this other body have been downplayed. And bizarrely, I may not have a second opportunity to come on the floor. But in the wisdom of this other body, I will seek that the issue of whether rights are cancer or pension, benefit, and what have you, that everything should be wanted, and that the issue of those who have been internalized through the civil service process at the federal ministry, that report be submitted to us, we dissect, and then they tell us who are to be laid out or who are not to be laid out. That issue is not something that should be taken like a joke. Unlike this government, it's becoming a laissez-faire. That every government account, patronage system is involving and what's running this country. Now people feel that because politically they were supported by certain individuals and other individuals were in opposition, whether they're competent, people are insensitive to the plight. They are all Nigerians. We need to take a seize of this matter of the desire and tell the civil service director and all non-ministry agencies that those that are very givefully employed in the government to be retained. And if you want to retire anybody, they should go through the requisite process and we should be informed. Equal work for equal pay. Because we can't make people you will send out to your whole pay at the end of the month. It's a violation of the law. Precisely. You got to be serious. That's my comment on the issue under review. Thank you very much.
Okay, we'll take the Minister of Labor. After the Minister of Labor, I will call you.
Honorable Speaker, the Speaker, members of this body, I'd like to say here in closing that when a public sector worker is dismissed and you are not happy and you think your dismissal was illegal, you do not come to the Ministry of Labor. You go to a civil service agency. They have a whole section that investigate. There is an appeal board that also hear appeal for the dismissed worker. Similarly, if a worker, somebody working in the Lebanese store, if he is dismissed and he is not satisfied, we come to the Ministry of Labor. So there is a difference between public sector worker and private sector worker. In terms of the Liberian law, I've been a party for 30 years of the law in Liberia. So I am an authority in the Liberian law. So one man said that I do not know what I was talking about.
Disregard that.
Again, when we come here, we learn how to
for the honorable report. We learn something from you, and when we say something, we expect that we have respect for our opinion. So thank you very much for inviting me, and I'm sure if this information were available, I would not have been invited to this section.
No, I'm not taking information on the how to take the way forward. But before I take Honorable Miana, sorry. You know, but Honorable Toes, don't do that to me. You'll be the last. Okay, I will come to you next and then I'm closing. Go ahead.
Honorable Speaker, Protected Speaker, esteemed colleagues. I think we are getting to understand from the Civil Service Director that actually he is not the one that going to ministry to get a listing of those that have to be pensioned. And I got that from him very clearly. And I want to ask the Minister of Health, the Deputy Minister of Health. Mr. Minister, knowing fully well the area of work, how to do with our citizens' life in this country, I think the Director said it clearly that he's not going for your ministry to get a listing of those that will be retired. You people are the ones that can submit the listing toward the Director General. Knowing fully well that the health institution in this country, there are a lot of workers. And you sit there and get names. Like for instance, our health center started talking about that one of the 12 person names that to cause a problem for our district. What are you and the one that because the civil service director is very clear and what he said is true. You cannot tell us that everything that the Holy Spirit is responsible for is the one who's doing it. That is the and you supposed to make that don't listen to him. I you to say, okay, I'm retired, you go get a listen to him. Directly. I want to ask you. Now you are telling us that you're trying to pick words from another institution to another institution. Which of course is not appropriate. Before you can even retire, you stay home in your own ministry of health. You told that decision to carry them before you retire there. You are in the director. You find out who surrender the list to the director, and you know fully well that you don't have the capacity. So I want to ask you whether you did it.
Leave the witness alone.
So that is my question to you. Because before you can retire the people, you might make sure that you send people there before you retire them. So how you did it on the today part dying instantly? You the health minister, everything is that is Director General. Everybody submitted the list to him. Thank you. Proceed.
Honorable Speaker, Honorable Deputy Speaker, distinguished members of this august body.
The Minister of Health is about to respond. Honorable Cole, the Minister of Health is about to respond. Proceed, please. Proceed, please.
So, Honorable Cole, you take note. We take note. We take note.
Deputy Minister, proceed.
So, the CSA is the custodian of civil servants' records in Liberia. The CSA has records of the employees at every ministry or agency. We also have, with respect to the decision, like I stated earlier, to retire employees or civil servants is within the prerogative of the CSA. However, if the CSA requests that we regularly submit people needs and about data, including their ages, upon which they are acting, it is actually intended to have coordination so that they don't take people based on their ages and we have another information. So I think that information was intended for reconciliation purposes rather than also making people that we don't want these people. That decision was not ours. Thank you.
Honorable Toes. Honorable Prince Toes. Play. I heard you. Honorable Toes.
for the man, right? No different.
The fact that the minister, I mean, now we represent the health, the honorable represent the health said that we are challenged, they are able to raise the human resource to go to these places right now, immediately. And the CSA boss also admitted that it will take 1 year to 2 years to recruit people to serve in this capacity. I think it is fair enough that these people be restored, let them go to work, we can have to check up and do our people's lives. Thank you.
It seems to me, I was here, civil service director, the attempt to clean up the payroll and straighten the civil service of Liberia is a laudable act. But I think the executive branch need to put, under your leadership, need to put a little bit more time into planning it. The first thing I think you need to develop, even though it is being developed and submitted for Civil Service Commission Act, then you need to organize the system such that we got to know who are you going to retire, we got to know the replacement plan, and we got to know the budgetary cost. Okay, I agree with you. You just came, but you got 6 years, right? So if you put this year, if you plan this year, and then start to implement the next years with proper budgetary support, I think some of this noise will not continue. So I think, and the same thing is happening at the Ministry of Internal Affairs. Let's get the laws right, and you are stickler for the law, and I agree. Let's get the laws right and get the procedures in order. For example, the Minister of Labor, the reason why I refer to him when it came to matters of law, he is right. He has 35 years experience, even my senior when it comes to legal matters, so I would defer to his opinion. The matter here is, though, a civil service standing order is a regulation. You can't apply a civil service standing order that was signed by the executive branch to the legislative branch or the judiciary branch. So you have to have a civil service standing order that applies to the legislative branch, one that applies to the executive branch, and one that applies to the judiciary branch. As for us, a civil service standing order that applies to the legislative branch must be voted upon by plenary. For the judiciary, it will be the Supreme Court bench. So you can't do that across the board. So it seems to me there are some missteps being made in the implementation. You are rushing to implement your mandate without actually a plan or law, and everything is going on as you deem it. For example, they have told you there was a memo, and it makes sense, where the healthcare workers and I think the education workers should have that kind of memo right now, exempting them from the standing orders, because these highly skilled workers, when you retire them or when you move them, I know you say you replace them, you wouldn't. In places like Jura, where there is only a river you cross to get there, you're not going to have nobody replacing them for another 2 or 3 years. So it's not fair to the population. So I think the best thing to do is let's come up with a plan, and then let's see what it's going to cost, and let's budget for the cost, and then let's move. You know, I think because the process is being run in a rush, it's open to misinterpretation, it's open to missteps, it's open to legal challenges. And I'm telling you, at any point, if there's a legal challenge here, the whole system will be brought down. So I think in my mind, and advice to you, that we need to find a way where the plans and the budget are put in place, and then we go to implementation. And the plans include the law. So we'll take the way forward. Way forward will become us. No, I'm sorry. I said Honorable Cooper, we're going to do the way forward.
Yellow machine number 1.
Honorable Deputy Speaker, distinguished colleagues. As a saying go, anything that is not done right is not done at all. There absolutely no way you go and retire people when you do not have a direct replacement. And so for the way forward, I would suggest that we put a temporary halt to all of the retirements. this house, along with the CSA, ensure that proper mechanism is put in place before we go on to retire people. Ensure that we have the benefits on here and have the direct replacement insights before we move on to do anything. Thank you.
Is there a motion?
Are you talking about the entire
We will recognize Honorable Thomas for a motion. The Honorable Lady for a statement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, Deputy Speaker, and fellow colleagues. Having listened to an extensive presentation from the witnesses that appear before us today on this matter, and looking at the nature of the subject being discussed today, as we wish to remedy this situation, I will move, Mr. Speaker, that leadership takes seize of this matter.
Okay, given the motions and counter motions on the floor, leadership takes seize of the matter. We will proceed. Next, hold on. The witnesses are discharged. We thank you for your appearance. The witnesses are discharged.
So this is how we let the call your day on this live broadcast. The CSA boss, Josiah Joekai, and here in session, along with Labor Minister Kupakura, as well as the Minister of Health. Thanks for following. Bye bye.